Today on Country Squire Radio, we're back at the shop, baby. Yeah.
So much going on, man.
So much going on. We got a Squire Select. We have got some great pipe questions of the week. For example, seasonal tobaccos. What's up with that? Also, quickfire questions, listener feedback, and more happening right now on Country Squire Radio. Welcome to Country Squire Radio. I'm Beau.
And I'm John David.
JD.
Hey, Beau. Good afternoon, man.
Man, good afternoon to you, too. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Just getting used to the new setup. You know, it's been good. We're kind of easing back into a shop show.
Yeah,
that has it has the added benefits and challenges of recording while the shop's open. And so just trying to figure that out. But man, things are good. It's so good to be here. This is go time, man. It's the time of year where folks are rushing in to buy gifts and things like that. I laugh this time of year so much as a retailer because the gifts often wind up being for the purchaser.
Oh yeah.
I really do think people go into the Christmas season thinking, I'm spending all this money on other people. What's another couple $100 on myself? You know what I mean?
Well, it is, especially with like Black Friday and we got Cyber Monday going on right now.
No, that's right. Yeah.
And you look at some of these deals and you're going to buy it for yourself if somebody doesn't get it for you anyway.
That's I know,
and
right?
You'll just be kicking yourself if you didn't take advantage of the fact it was half off. So,
and these kids too, they'll come in and they'll kind of anticipate their Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
And so they'll be like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure grandma's good for $75.
Right.
And then, typically my parents are good for $50
right.
or maybe even 100 if I've been good. And so, they start calculating this stuff up and well, Aunt Jenny, she sends me a Visa gift card once a year. And, maybe if I can parlay that into a little more tobacco, and so it's like they're spending money they don't even have yet.
Yeah,
it keeps
on layaway.
It keeps dusty old pipe shops like this one open.
No, it's good. That's good. That's what you got to do, man.
No, it's a lot of fun though. We've got some cool stuff on the shelves and cool promotions obviously during the season, and things are going great.
Well, I noticed that the shop is not quite Christmas-fied or holiday
we haven't
decked out
the
yet.
halls yet.
Yeah,
we've got some of that we've got in the back, but honestly I've had to, because we have this new real estate. It's our first Christmas in the new shop. We've had to go purchase some new Christmas decoration. This is going to be the first time we are doing this here, and we hadn't quite figured it out yet. So the Christmas decorations this year I think are going to be a little hodgepodge, but we'll get there.
I'm sure it'll be great. I'm sure it'll be great.
It'll be whatever it is. It'll be very Country Squire.
Well, the Country Squire Christmas party is always kind of the event of the season. So,
that's
I'm
right.
sure it's going to look beautiful when the time is right.
We'll get that going. We're trying to settle on a date for that still. Of course, we do have a cigar event again on December 12th. That's a Wednesday. And the folks with Ashton Cigars will be here at the shop. But looking more for a pipe-centric group of folks to come for our annual Christmas party, which will be a little closer on to Christmas. So we'll get those dates out real soon.
That's good.
I'm always excited about that. Typically potluck thing, and we'll do some tobacco swap stuff, and it should be a lot of fun.
Well, for me, man, we are officially in the holiday season, definitely the Christmas season. And this past weekend we went out to buy a Christmas tree. And
people typically, that's kind of what folks do, it seems like, is they wait till right after Thanksgiving, and then it's safe to pull the trigger without being judged.
I think
right?
so. Yeah. I think that's the safe bet. And so but this year was very special in that this last past year it's been a long year. And my family, when my mother's side of the family, they had this big house they grew up in, and we went to Christmas every single year.
Yeah.
And they just this past month sold that house, and it's just been so crushing, like emotionally crushing.
That is tough. That's really hard.
And I mean, this was the house that, like, when I was a kid, like, I went down the stairs for and waited for Santa at the top of the stairs and everything.
Yeah.
The tree was so big that, like, you felt like it was a mountain. I mean, it was just massive. So this year,
kind of overwhelming.
This year, I decided to take that overwhelmingness back, and so we measured the from floor to roof.
This is in your current house.
This is in our current house.
Okay.
And we got the biggest tree. In fact, it was a foot bigger than would actually fit in our house.
What the?
Went a little bit above and beyond.
Did you have to do one of those like almost Dr. Seuss things where it bends at the top, or how did that? You know what I mean? How did you manage that? How did that work?
So there may be a bit of a mark on the ceiling right now from that occurring.
That crummy little ceiling popcorn has started to wear off right above the Christmas tree.
Yeah,
right.
we had to saw off about a foot from the base, and then we ended up having to trim the top, and then we literally had to prune this thing because honestly, it takes up a fourth of the room that it's in. Well,
it's good. Your kids will remember that.
I think so, and it is funny. We had my siblings came over, my parents came over, and we kind of looked at the tree, and everybody comments about this is the biggest tree a York has ever had in their house.
I think it's just funny because what's going to happen is y'all will go out for a night or something and come back, and your precious little dog Isley will have that joker all over the floor.
She's pretty good, but that is always the concern.
Yep.
But anyways, that's all beautiful, man.
Well, that's great.
Also, doing some fun stuff for the holidays this year. I think I mentioned it last week, but I started doing some live streaming on the Twitch with the Squire Scallywags on Thursday nights. So if you want to tune in for some pirating video game Christmas stuff, that's on Thursday this 7 p.m. CT.
And that's Thursday, November 30th.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Good.
But man, it hasn't all been about the holiday preparations. It's also been about doing what we really should have been doing, or in this case, me, all year long, which is of course taking care of the good folks who are members of the Country Squire Radio International Pipe
that's
Club.
right. We've got a little housekeeping and some news for that. Right?
Yes. So for everybody, I don't even want to say how far back it goes, but for many of you, this past amount of time, there have not been the welcome packages going out with the digital cards, with the club member number, and of course with the RSS feed containing the archive.
Now, we went into that's for some technical reasons.
Exactly.
On that part. The other part is for a variety of reasons.
Well, yeah, that sounds good. Let's go with that. But regardless, as of this weekend, every single Country Squire Radio Club member should now have in their possession, check your inboxes if you haven't done so yet, but you've got your Country Squire Radio International Club card, which contains your unique club member number. And as of today, literally today, the RSS feed that will be the Country Squire Radio archived first 100 episodes is also now in your possession. Now, what you need to do for those who are patrons, and not just club members, but patrons, is you'll need to add that RSS feed to your podcast player of choice. And the first thing you'll notice is, there's only one episode in here and it's like 50 seconds long. Well, that's because it's I didn't even know that was in there first off. And second of all, it's an outtake clip of me and John David that we recorded once before the show. You remember that the turn down for what bit that we did?
Wow.
Yeah.
You put that in there?
I accidentally. It just was what it said there. But anyway, over the next couple of weeks, consider this almost like the 12 days of Christmas. It's the 12 days of Country Squire Radio, as we will be inputting all of those 100 episodes into that feed. So if you want to make sure that you're on top of that to get some of the worst audio you've ever heard coming at you, be sure to check your inbox. And for any new patrons or new club members, you now have access to that RSS feed. The moment that you sign up, you'll get an email letting you know thank you, and also giving you that RSS feed to add to your player of choice.
And just let's take a little step back for those of us that don't know our initials and technology stuff as much. So, if you sign up to join the Country Squire Radio International Pipe Club, you can do so through Patreon, patreon.com/Country Squire Radio. If you do that, you get access to our first 100 episodes. And that is through the RSS feed that Beau's referring to. So we actually, that was messed up for a long time because our website
was hacked.
Actually got hacked.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have access to that for quite some time. Which for some of y'all was probably a blessing because it gave you an opportunity to fall in love with us currently before diluting your understanding of us by going to those early episodes from 2013 that some of which frankly are atrocious. But anyway, there's some good stuff back there. And so that's just a little gift that we have for you. Anyway, that's available now. We're really thrilled to make that out there, and you can go back and listen to just some awful audio.
Yeah, I mean it is terrible. But again, that's patreon.com/Country Squire Radio is the place to do it. And even if you're just becoming a patron for just $1 an episode, that'll still gain you access to the full 100 episode archive that'll be rolling out here over the next couple of weeks.
Ooh.
All right, man. Is there any other housekeeping that we need to mention?
I don't think so.
Oh, you know what? There is.
Oh, yeah.
We're already on to
right.
Christmas, but
Right.
there is one thing that we need to mention from Thanksgiving. Of course, last episode we had our Thanksgiving special, which was a ton of fun.
Yep.
And on it, we showcased some of the custom cobs that were in the custom cob competition. This is for those that don't know, this is an annual competition that we do where listeners send in Missouri Meerschaum pipes that they've customized, and it's a lot of fun. We love the entries and seeing kind of the creativity that's out there. And interestingly enough, as we do record this podcast now from the shop here about midday, somebody walked in literally as we were closing out the show.
That's right, our friend Jay
with a new entry.
Yep.
So like you talk about kind of getting it into the
right there. Yeah, and in fairness, he actually had called me and he was like, "Look, can I bring it in like a couple days before?" I was like, "Nah, the time had already elapsed for that and we'd done." He was like, "Okay, well, man, I hate that, but because I've got some ideas." Well, anyway, the day we do the show, Jay, who's from Southwest Mississippi, him and his wife drove up, longtime friends of the Country Squire. And so anyway, right, literally as we were getting done recording last week's Thanksgiving episode, Jay's like, "Hey, I got one more. I know it's too late for the contest, but here you go." And he wants to give it to us for this good cause that we're doing.
So. All right, so here it is. We wanted to showcase it. So
yeah.
Again, it obviously was not eligible for the competition.
It's a turkey leg.
It's a turkey leg, and this is great because he was very specific about that. He said, I was thinking about a turkey leg. And of course, the way that a pipe is formed, you got the bowl, which is kind of the big side, and the stem, which is going to be more the small side. So you'd think it would go that way. We actually saw the tiny turkey leg that went in that route.
Right.
But he very accurately pointed out that when you're eating a turkey, the big part is what goes towards your mouth.
It puts in your mouth. Right?
Exactly.
And so he put the large portion of the turkey leg.
It's all on the stem, baby.
Which is closer to the stem.
Look at that.
So it's good. Yeah. And I forget, he mentioned what type of wood this is. It's like some kind of knot off a tree or something. It almost, to me, I even asked him if it looks like a gourd or if it was a gourd.
Yeah.
But it's a piece of wood.
It's solid.
I'll have to get with Jay and figure out again what that is. But really cool, man. And what was so neat, honestly, is that he wanted to gift that to the competition, even though he didn't make it in time, because in the next few days here, we'll be auctioning all these pipes off. The proceeds, of course, will go to the Ronald McDonald House, and so we're so grateful for that.
Isn't that just the pipe community?
No, I mean, it is
not even eligible to compete or win, but he's still
like,
wanted to have about
throw this in the kitty. Yeah,
awesome.
It was great. So we'll be putting those out for auction here real soon. We're thrilled about how all that came out. Yep.
Tell you something else I'm thrilled about, man. It's a Squire Select episode.
Ow!
Day drinking, baby.
I know, right? and I've been thinking about this, all morning. I was like, okay, we're preparing for a Squire Select episode. You know what I didn't do to prepare for today's Squire Select episode?
Eat food.
Yeah. Hey, I didn't eat any food.
You know what I didn't do to prepare?
What?
Eat food.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I'm hoping the caloric intake over the next last few days of all the Thanksgiving leftovers
balances it out.
Kind of residual.
Yeah.
I don't know, but so anyway, we're gonna experiment, and y'all might have to come scoop us off the floor by 3:00 this afternoon. But
this is gonna be brilliant.
No, it's gonna be great.
So for those that don't know, a Squire Select is where we take various typically beverages and typically of the brown liquid variety, and compare them and pair them rather with various pipe tobaccos, so that if you're enjoying this particular beverage, this is the tobacco to have with it, and if you have this particular tobacco, this is the beverage to pick up for it. We have done also, I think we've done gin in the past. We've also done some tea. Coffee has been discussed, but ultimately it's all about the whiskey,
the brown water.
That's right. So, John Dave, I'm super excited, man.
Well,
what do you have for us today?
Yeah, so today we've got a couple of interesting things. Went to a whiskey tasting recently, and these are two whiskeys that were featured, which I thought was really interesting, and hadn't had a lot of experience with either one of these brands before, but thought we'd kind of bust them out, see what other people thought. And I think there's some good stuff here, although it's a little different from our normal wheelhouse, probably what you and I both typically prefer. But I think this time of year, folks do kind of like something a little more sweet, a little lighter, something that's, just a little more Christmassy maybe. And so there's some good stuff going on here. So the first one.
I'm excited for this, man.
This is Pendleton's 1910 Canadian rye whiskey.
Oh.
And so really good. It's a beautiful bottle. If you'll kind of look, it's got this really ornate crystal indention here. It almost refers to like a old west theme. Lots of paisley little things
Oh,
on the bottle,
interesting.
which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
real pretty. Pendleton 1910 Canadian rye whiskey. It says 750 milliliters. It's a fifth. And 40% alcohol by volume. Pendleton, of course, this is a brand that's been around for a little while. It was founded in 2003. And I love this, right? We always, every time we introduce one of these, whiskey brands or, spirit brands, we have to tell a little bit of history about the brand itself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so much of the more recent brands, they try to build up this real, flowery, romanticized kind of, history about their stuff. But
Brother, you co-host a pipe tobacco podcast.
no, I know, right? But at least our shop's been here 50 years. I mean,
Right.
with Pendleton, they've been around since 2003, and they really, their theme was to, or their angle really on this was to, create something that was inspired by Pacific Northwest cowboys, right? And so,
All right, hang on. So 2003,
right,
and from Canada,
right,
and cowboys.
right.
All right, I'm just want to make sure I'm
Just want
tracking.
to make sure you got all the
Just
pieces.
want to make sure I got all the pieces.
No, that's right. That's right. No, it's interesting. They were kind of going after the rodeo cowboy deal. Of course, in Western Canada, you've got some of that kind of cowboy culture that bleeds up from places like Montana, northern Washington, and places like that.
Except they ride mooses.
Except no, they do. They ride mooses,
Yep.
which is obviously that's fact.
That's how Monties do it.
Yeah. Pendleton is a small town in northeast Oregon, actually. That's just real. It's got one of those kind of cowboy country culture things, and there's a big rodeo that's there every year. It's one of the oldest and most prestigious rodeos in the West, called the Pendleton Roundup. And so this was actually, even though it's a Canadian company, it was named after that, and they kind of play off that a lot. And so they're big sponsors of that, the Pendleton Roundup every year. And the oldest event that they did dates to 1910. And so they're kind of, Pendleton really playing off this. This is not their original one. They have an original line. But this, the 1910 rye whiskey is, kind of in honor of the original Roundup there in 1910, where they have, cowboys and girls come from all over the place and do that kind of thing. So 100% rye whiskey here. It's about $50 a bottle in the United States. And if I can get my show notes here, I'm going to read you the description.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, man, beautiful bottle. We love our Canadian friends, but that honestly, well, never mind. I should just keep my comments to myself.
I know, right?
We love our Canadian friends, and we're hopefully about to love their spirit.
Full stop.
Yeah, full stop.
Full stop. Yeah. Pendleton 1910 Canadian rye whiskey. Distilled in Canada, is oak barrel aged a minimum of 12 years. And so a lot going on here, but the minimum age of the whiskey included here is 12 years. Featuring round, rich notes of tobacco, charred oak, and butterscotch with a spicy rye kick and peppery heat. Pendleton 1910 rye whiskey is rounded out by the smoothness of maple and sweet cherry to provide a weighty and balanced yet complex flavor profile. The 1910 name pays homage to the year of the first ever Pendleton Roundup, and comes packaged in an iconic 750 milliliter bottle with a unique and intricately embossed detailing reminiscent of tooling on a saddle. So anyway, it's just kind of a cool thing going on there, but you can tell they're trying really hard to go after the kind of Old West thing.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I mean, like, there's whenever Westworld comes on, I always like to have like a good rye whiskey with that kind of story in mind. And I will say that a lot of times when I'm going for something to kind of accompany that, that Westworld, that Red Dead Redemption, whatever it is that I'm doing, a large part of that goes to the bottle itself. And I mean, like, this does look like you can see it in some fancy saloon
and it
that's
does,
out there in the West.
Exactly, yeah.
You get yourself a sarsaparilla and you sit down. All right, so this is we're about to see if Canada knows what they're talking about.
So Pendleton's 1910.
All right, here we go.
Cheers.
Okay, first thing, that is way sweeter than I would have expected from a rye.
Yep.
I mean, like, it's got the rye kick on the back end, but like, when a lot of times when you kind of read some of the descriptions of like, oh, you pick out all these notes, but now this one, no, this is actually pretty sweet. Like, I mean, like, it's got the rye kick on the back end, but like, when you kind of read some of the descriptions of like, oh, you pick out all these notes, but now this one, no, this is actually pretty sweet. pretty dang accurate in
No,
terms of the,
it
the
really
description.
it really
here.
is, yeah. So like you had mentioned, I was interested to see if you would pick that up pretty quickly.
Mhm.
Typically with ryes, right off the bat, you're going to have that
A good
the
burn.
bite, right?
Yeah.
The bite. There's a kind of a heat there, a complexity. It's a little drier. It's intense. And this doesn't really have that. It's a sweeter,
It's got it a bit on the
very.
back end.
There's a little bit of the kind of medicinal flavor on the back end, but we talk about the cherryness of it, right? I mean, you got a sincere cherry sweetness there that is very apparent as soon as try this whiskey, and I think that's what sets it apart from a lot of other ryes. One thing in researching this that I learned, apparently, when you talk about Canadian rye whiskey, they have a lot more flexibility in calling things rye than United States rye whiskeys, and so a rye whiskey in the U.S. has to be 51% rye,
That's right.
just like a bourbon has to be 51% corn. Well, in Canada, they can kind of
Canada.
so that's kind of where some of this is coming from. But the sweetness of this is really interesting. It reminds me of some bourbons that have kind of a fruit sweetness to them. I almost kind of compare this to almost like a after dinner liqueur
Yeah.
or something. You know what I mean? It's got a sweetness that's like a after dinner digestive kind of thing.
So the butterscotch nature of it kind of
Yeah,
really stands out to
yeah, I
me.
see that too.
I would almost not it's definitely not a one for one, but there's almost kind of a similar to like a Tullamore Dew. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Just kind of that almost unnaturally sweet for what you would expect to sit
Yeah,
down with this particular drink if you don't
yeah,
know anything going back into it. I you
yeah.
know, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
No, it's good whiskey if you want something that's very
You
sippable.
got to know what you're getting into.
Very,
Absolutely.
it's a sweeter whiskey. It's one of those that I think would be a nice change up for this time of year.
Absolutely.
I mean, you think
Yeah.
about holidays and you kind of, letting yourself, uh, have a little bit of this and that that you normally don't. And so,
Mhm.
it's a good Christmas time whiskey, I think.
All right, so here's something that I'm always interested in about kind of sweeter whiskeys and that sort of thing. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times, if I'm not like if I'm not like in love with a bourbon or a rye and just like every single flavor, then I think, okay, well, this will at the very least I can make a Manhattan or something. I can make
Right.
good
Exactly.
mixing
Right.
mixing whiskey with something like this. It's already so sweet. I can't even imagine putting this in a cocktail.
It'd be
You
hard
gotta
to.
like it.
Yeah, you have to go into it kind of knowing what
Yeah.
you're going after there.
So
Yeah.
so what are we going after for its
So
companion?
obviously, we're pairing this with a pipe tobacco. That's what
Mhm.
we do. And I wanted to go a couple of different ways with this. The Pendleton's is great on its own. I think it's a good whiskey on its own for what it is. Um, you could go a couple ways. You could go, how do we come up with some contrasting flavors to bring out some differences here? Or can we find a tobacco that's similar enough to this that it just kind of complements it and completes it?
Mm,
Rather than contrasting. I had a
yeah.
hard time as I was kind of thinking through this, contrasting different tobaccos to what you're getting here on this flavor profile. And so think about you do have a sweeter, very sippable tobacco. It seemed like a good candidate to pair with a smoky English or Balkan blend. I didn't really get the kind of fruity mustiness there that the Orientals would really pair with. I kind of just felt led to match this with something that was very kindred spirits,
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
as far as that goes. And so, proud of this one. I think I got a good tobacco here that we picked up. But today we were pairing this with Mac Baron's cherry ambrosia mixture.
I had a feeling we were gonna go
Yeah.
this route. Okay,
And
interesting.
and so yeah, fun tobacco. This is great. The cherry ambrosia, of course, it's made by Mac Baren, one of the best tobacco companies in the world. We love them in the United States. They're paired up with Sutliff Tobacco, which we love them as well. Mac Baren tobaccos typically they're known to have that little bit of bite, right? They're known to have a little bit of a crisp bite that I think, if anything is missing in this particular whiskey, is just a little bit of a pleasant bite. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You kind of know what I mean, like that pleasant bite that you expect, particularly from a rye
Oh,
whiskey.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think with the Mac Baren, you're kind of adding that to the mix, but still kind of augmenting the cherry flavors. This also has a little bit of vanilla. You'll get some kitchen spices that are there. It's just real, simple, but semi-sweet and not over the top. It's just kind of a nice comparison here to the 1910 from Pendleton. So again, the cherry is subtle, but it's very tasty. And this is a great tobacco to pair with a whiskey because, like any Mac Baren tobacco, again, it's going to force you to kind of slow the process down, sip the tobacco, smoke it at a cooler temperature. Really appreciate some of those subtle flavors that come out. And so anyway, I think folks will particularly enjoy the cherry ambrosia with the Pendleton's 1910.
Yeah,
So,
of course, for
yeah.
the 10 of the Mac Baren. I mean, the Mac Baren,
It's just classic.
it's just, yeah. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you know who they
You
are.
know exactly what you're getting. Though,
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
It's you do have kind of a little bit of their logo, as you do with many of their 10s, that's kind of faded in the back and that sort of thing. But bright cherry
Yep.
red for a cherry tobacco. So
Yep.
makes some sense. All right. I had a feeling you were going to go this
Kind of
route.
go in that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
So
also
it's
made me nervous, honestly, because I'm not a huge cherry tobacco fan.
Yeah.
And so I kind of felt like, all right, well, seeing this over in the corner, I was like, huh.
it's gonna. You're not necessarily doubling down on the cherry flavor here, but I think what you are doing is trying to complete maybe the little pieces that the 1910 just doesn't have if you're looking for kind of more of a full body whiskey experience.
No, it makes sense.
So,
Absolutely.
and the flavors certainly in this pairing are not going to clash at all. So so good. Yeah,
It's a good choice.
Yeah, I thought
good
that was solid.
All right, well, and I did actually finish pretty much my entire drink here, so I'll give it to the Canadians.
You did.
They made a very polite beverage, as we'll see in some of our listener feedback.
It's very polite.
Yeah, taking a picture of that. See, that's the other benefit of the current setup is, you get this nice view of all of the items. We get the nice view, but unfortunately, on the YouTube,
it's kind of cut off
so,
there, right? Yeah,
still adjusting that as we go along here.
So next in the lineup here, this is an interesting. You mentioned Tullamore Dew earlier. Other Irish whiskeys.
Oh yeah,
obviously
absolutely.
we love the folks at Jameson as well. One of the classic distilleries in Ireland that's been around for centuries is the distillery there at Bushmills. Bushmills, it's been around a long time. It has been under continuous operation since 1885. But the distillery was actually built in 1784, and so it goes way back there. Of course, Ireland has a real rich tradition of pipe smoking and tobacco culture in its own right.
Oh, of course.
We not just think of Peterson itself, but way back before that. And so I felt like this was we're in Ireland, right? So it's good thing to pair. The all Bushmills bottles actually say 1608 on them, which was actually the year the distillery wasn't founded then, but that was the year that the royal title was granted to that particular area to be able to legally make whiskey. Which I think is kind of interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
So last year, of course, Bushmills, they've been around for since dirt, and they decided to come out with what they call Red Bush. And Red Bush, this is a different kind of whiskey that is more malt based, and so they have their normal grain whiskey. It's grain whiskey that is aged in American oak barrels and then blended with a single malt whiskey. This is going to kind of amp that maltiness up. It's a darker whiskey. The Red Bush, you can immediately look at it and note kind of the caramel colors that are there. It's smooth, triple distilled, and matured in bourbon casks, and so it'll have more of that kind of full bodied flavor. It's semi-sweet, but not nearly as sweet, I think, as the Pendletons that we tried. And so, you're going to go into this thinking, okay, this is Irish whiskey. It's one of those that, is going to be maybe a little lighter than your favorite, Scotch or bourbon, but it'll have its own natural sweetness. And I don't know. I think enough complexity to be good either on the rocks or as a mixer.
Can I just say something real quick?
Yeah.
If these two bottles were people, I feel like they would hate each other. I mean,
that's pretty good.
They shouldn't, like they'd probably hang out and realize, I don't know actually what Red Bush tastes like yet. But they just
they're
you know what I mean? Like these two bottles
the
just look
Pendletons,
like,
we have kind of this ornate, over the top kind of thing going on. It's very
very textured.
Textured and Red Bush, that with Bushmills, it's just it's just like a rectangle.
I mean, it looks like you got this bottle out of like maybe the recycling bin and you just filled it up with a little bit of whiskey. No offense to our good friend at Bushmills.
No, that's right. That's right.
All right. Shall we? Cheers.
Cheers.
It's an Irish whiskey.
Yep.
Which is, Irish whiskey. I remember like the first time that I had Irish whiskey was fairly early on in my whiskey journey.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, oh man, this is
so good.
Woo! It's so good.
So strong.
And it's not that I don't like Irish whiskey at all, but it's very smooth. Like this right here, very smooth.
It is. The only bite you'll get is that pleasant little bite right before kind of as you're swallowing the whiskey. There's just a little bit of heat on the back end. Just a real again, caramel butterscotch. You're not getting as many as the fruit flavors that are there, but it's certainly not a very bold, robust a peaty flavor, although it might be more than the regular Bushmills.
I feel like I've made this comparison before on Squire Select episodes.
Yeah.
But I find myself right now in a similar situation I did the first night that I saw Pirates of the Caribbean, which is I watched that movie. I watched 2 movies in one night back to back, live in theaters.
Yeah.
The first one was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with Sean Connery, and it was just awful. I mean, it's just the worst. And then I immediately went right after that and saw Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one, which of course is a fantastic film. But like, for me, it's always been like a step above everybody else's appreciation for it because the movie I saw before was so bad. And again, I'm not trying to compare these two, but that's just the fact that you're coming from one to the other, and
it's just that different.
I'm saying you hit me with a rye and it comes in all sweet, and it doesn't quite do it for me, so to speak.
No, yeah. That's
Here
fair.
you got an Irish whiskey that tastes like an Irish whiskey, and after that, kind of
as advertised.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
And honestly, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. As all Irish whiskeys go, of course, it's been aged at least 3 years, which is what they have to say. It's got a little sweetness there, but not nearly the sugary sweetness that the Pendletons has, which is good. Now pairing this, of course, in prepping for this, we came over here to sit down for our podcast today. And I accidentally left the tobacco for this in my office.
No,
which is about I don't know 40 feet behind us here. But
we should mention too. We'll pull back the curtain a little bit. With the
yeah.
current setup, in order for us to get out of these chairs, it's about a 45-minute process.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, which will change over time.
Right.
But for the moment,
right,
it's like we're jacked into the Matrix right now.
So, but I am proud of this particular pairing. We have everyone knows and loves the tobacco. Well, I say everybody. Our Virginian lovers know and love the tobacco 5100 that, of course, we had from McClellan for years. Venerated tobacco, one of those that was just kind of set the standard for so many matured Virginias. And Sutliff, in their own right, has had a tobacco on the market for some time. It's called their 515 RC1. Now, this tobacco, of course, just like 5100, it doesn't have a particularly interesting name. It doesn't have a name that it screams, "Hey, this is what this is," or anything. It's just a number. It's a code. But the Sutliff 515 RC1, it's a matured Virginia that a lot of folks, when McClellan went out of business, they kind of pivoted towards this other tobacco. And so the Sutliff tobacco, it's a really nice red Virginia. It's been matured. It's not it is not analogous 100% to the 5100, but it's a great tobacco in its own right, and I think really paired well with this particular whiskey.
Is it a bulk tobacco? Do you find it in tin?
It's a bulk tobacco, and so that's one thing. We a lot of times, if we feature a bulk tobacco on Squire Select, it'll be one of the Squire's blends, right? Something that we make here in the shop ourselves. But this is kind of a new thing for us.
And to be clear,
haven't done this very often.
A Squire blend is not just it's a renamed bulk tobacco.
No, that's right. Yeah, we actually hand blend all our stuff here at the shop.
Right.
Yeah. But there are some great bulk tobaccos that are out there, and so the 515 RC1, it is a really great matured Virginia. You're going to get a toastiness there. a zestiness there. The tanginess that is there, it's not quite as tangy. You think of that vinegary ketchup that the 5100 had. It has that. It's not quite as pronounced as the 5100, but the 515 RC, it's got some of that in its own right, which comes from not just the leaf itself, but the extra processing, the aging, the fermentation that leaf is going through, bringing out some of those natural sugars and flavors, which I think paired really nicely with the Bushmills Red Bush.
Man,
So,
I can dig it. That's good.
Yeah, there's a mellow richness there that I think, again, we're not trying to really contrast the Red Bush. We're trying to just come alongside it and augment some of those flavors, and so the toastiness there that you might get from some of the malt whiskeys that are blended in this particular whiskey, I think is paired nicely with the toastiness of the 515 RC. So
I like it,
yeah,
man.
so that's it.
How much is this Red Bush? Did you say that?
I actually didn't get that. Yeah, I think I think it's close to the same as a normal Bushmills fifth. So, we're talking 20, $25 a
Yeah,
bottle,
really,
something
really
like
affordable.
that. Yeah,
All right,
real affordable. Yep.
man,
Pretty good, huh?
I might have to pick this up
Yeah.
again. It might be the Pirates of the Caribbean effect. It might be, or the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen effect. But I'm really
Right.
enjoying it.
No, it's one of those things, you'll be able to kind of throw it in the rotation occasionally.
Oh yeah,
And also good on ice or good as a mixer.
straight up, man.
Yeah.
I like it straight up. Although a good mixer is good to do this time of year. Let's mix things up a little bit right now
Ooh.
by talking about an awesome pipe.
Yep.
Now, of course, this is a pipe that is a fine quality. And as one Jedi Master Yoda said, judge it by its size, do you? Well, we don't. We're talking, of course, about the little mini from our good friends at Missouri Meerschaum.
That's right, man. We have the mini pipe is sponsoring today's show. Of course, our good friends at Missouri Meerschaum make gorgeous, works of art here right in the United States, in Washington, Missouri, and proud sponsors of the show. We're so thankful for them. Today's pipe is the mini. It is a pocket-sized, hand-sized pipe. I'm holding it here in my palm right now. Just a really handy little pipe. It goes well in your pocket, in your travel bag, a lady's purse, for example.
Yeah.
It's just a really nice way to tote a pipe around with you during the holiday season when you're bustling across town looking for that next Christmas gift, or maybe the next thing to put on the holiday table. And so anyway, just a great pipe, and yeah, we have a lot of folks that actually smoke these pipes.
Yeah, man. In fact, actually, the mini is the trophy from this year's custom cob competition, mounted on a beautiful gold star. And
is that right?
And gold encrusted. Can can you say encrusted if it's just spray painted on?
I think so.
All right, gold encrusted and on a beautiful mounted star. So yeah, absolutely a great pipe for beautiful decoration, and of course for smoking your favorite tobacco, maybe even one of the tobaccos that we've talked about this episode.
No, that's right.
So if you've got a mini, bust it out, smoke it this week. Let the good folks at Missouri Meerschaum know you appreciate them for sponsoring this show. All right, man. Pipe question this week coming in from listener Lane. Listener, it's like Squire Select. Oh man,
it's an alliteration.
Probably should have had breakfast this morning. All right, so here's what Lane had to say. He says, I know there are specialty blends that come out on holidays, but other than aromatic flavors that match the season, pumpkin spice, really? Is there any reason why certain holiday blends only come out during the end of the year, such as, he says, leaf availability, harvest restrictions, etc.? Thanks in advance, listener Lane.
Lane, good question. Honestly, most of these tobaccos nowadays are only released just because folks are really good at promoting. It's a scarcity thing. There are folks that are wanting to come up with something just interesting and different for a holiday season. And so it doesn't really have much to do with the quality of the tobacco or the availability of the tobacco. Is just a kind of a holiday thing, right? There's a reason that Peeps marshmallow candy only comes out at Easter, kind of deal, right? Well, I mean, I guess you could eat it in October if you wanted to, but they just kind of save it for that. Now, having said that, in the past we have had tobaccos that were limited. They came out once a year with stuff like Christmas Cheer because it was a incredibly small batch tobacco. I guess they could have come out, made Christmas Cheer or any other tobacco for another time of year, but they made it for Christmas, and it wasn't really because of the December season or anything. It's just because they thought that would be a nice gift kind of area. But really the tobaccos that come out during these times are really just for promotional reasons, and so it's just something fun, right? It's something exciting to get into for the holidays, and
Yeah.
not really anything that has something to do with the um, something with the tobacco availability. It's just something fun to get into.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah,
Actually, you mentioned the Peeps, and I was thinking about there was one year that I got so fed up that Cadbury eggs were only available one time a year.
yeah.
It's like the Shamrock Shake or the McRib, right? Like it's
Like I want the McRib.
like why? Why you got to do that to it? And so I stocked up on Cadbury eggs. Come to find out, Cadbury eggs are only good for a very select amount of
Is
time.
it a small thing?
They
Yeah.
go bad quickly. So I think they use like the ingredients that make the it's not nougat. I don't know what it is, but the inside interior of the Cadbury egg.
Delicious Cadbury goo. Well,
Yeah.
it's the rabbit goo, right?
Oh, whew.
No,
It
doesn't
probably
the little
is.
Cadbury rabbit bring out the little
They
egg,
take the
right?
rabbit, they grind it up, and they turn it into goo, and they put some sugar in
Hey,
there.
you went that far. I didn't have anything to go with the grinding up of the rabbit. But I mean, there's if the egg itself is laid from the rabbit or comes from the rabbit, then the creamy center, we don't know what it is.
Gamma radiation is really it's making some amazing holiday traditions.
It's fantastic.
Fantastic holiday traditions. Flying reindeer, rabbits that lay eggs. It's
and the rabbit goo inside the Cadbury egg.
Great question, Lane. And hey, if you've got a pipe question of the week, be sure to send it in to us. show@countrysquireradio.com. Again, that is show@countrysquireradio.com.
Unbelievable.
All right, man. Quickfire questions. We got in some great quickfire questions in from Christopher Deere. All right, man. You ready for this?
Yeah, bring it.
Okay. Lemur or koala bear?
Koala bear.
Koalas are cute, man, but they will kill you.
No, they will. They're vicious. They're vicious little
yes.
critters. Yeah. Don't get in the way of their eucalyptus, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that a thing?
Yes, it
but
is.
But the lemur. I mean, the lemurs, they can be cute. I guess, the little bug-eyed creatures.
Yeah.
But, I'm gonna go with the koala bear. It's a koala bear. Man.
Lemur's got kind of a creep factor that the koala bear has a cuteness factor.
No, yeah, I think you're right. The lemur has the kind of creepy. I don't know. Probably the best loved thing of its kind, maybe for Halloween.
Yeah, okay, I can dig that. I can dig that. But the koala will kill you. You got to look out for those koalas.
Yep.
All right, Perique or Kentucky Darkfire?
Perique.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably 8.5 times out of 10. Perique.
Home team, baby.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Perique all the way. This is good. Norse mythology or Greek mythology?
I'm gonna go with Greek mythology, but probably by a thread. You know, yeah. I mean, they're both iconic. I don't know as much about Norse mythology.
See, I think
I don't know as much about Greek mythology. I mean, I'm not well versed in either of these things, but yeah, I'll go with Greek mythology, but
Dude,
by a hair.
I'm a mythology junkie. I love this stuff, and I'm more of like growing up. I was a big Greek mythology guy. Hey man, what you laughing at?
No,
that
I'm a mythology junkie, man. I got this stuff.
I love it.
Yeah, I know everything about sports,
dude. Going to
history and politics and
mythology.
Yeah.
Give me mythology any day of the week. But like going to Athens in particular and seeing kind of all these various kind of the cult of Zeus and the cult of Aphrodite and all this.
That's right.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is what's fascinating about Greek mythology is that so much of it was actually political, because what was going on is they were kind of acquiring these new kingdoms. They were saying, okay, you have a god of what? Oh yeah, we got that too. Oh, who's your god? Oh, it was born out of Zeus's leg. Like they were incorporating a lot of these religious traditions that were kind of permeating the culture and the politics of the day.
Yeah.
And they merged that into, they were essentially retconning their own religion to kind of expand their political reach, which is really fascinating.
I've never made those connections before.
And on top of that, of course, you have just so much drama, and it's this massive, just cosmic soap opera that goes on. So all that to say, it's hard for me not to choose Greek mythology. Norse mythology, though, like I feel like it's getting its heyday because
it's popular, right?
Well, Thor's like in vogue right now, so everybody's talking about kind of that aspect of things, and there is a lot of really cool stuff going on in Norse mythology. I don't know it as well, but I have been kind of pouring more into it lately. But regardless, I got to give it to Greek mythology. Got to give it to Greek mythology. My first love, mythology wise.
Good. I'm glad you qualified that.
All right, Krampus or the Grinch, or is it Krampus?
It's Krampus.
Krampus.
I'm gonna go with the Grinch. Now, Krampus, I'm not super familiar with Krampus, but Krampus is a Scandinavian like Christmas demon that comes around.
Yeah.
And so I need to learn more about it. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Grinch.
There was a movie that starred a lot of like B-list comedians about Krampus. I know that. And so I know it was like a horror Christmas movie.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Yeah.
I have never, this is terrible. I've never been a huge fan of the Grinch animated special. I know it's a classic.
Yeah.
But like that song, for whatever reason, just drives me insane. That being said, between these two, you got to go Grinch. You got to go Grinch.
I think so.
I don't know Krampus all the well. And then finally, 3D or 4K.
Don't know much of the difference, so I'll just go with 3D because I've heard of that more often.
Wow. Yeah, 4K. 3D is
like TV stuff, right?
It is, but like 3D movies and that sort of thing. You had to wear the glasses.
Yeah.
So it's the same basic concept. So you can get a 3D TV, but you have to have the glasses.
The glasses, right?
Whereas 4K is just that high definition that it's essentially there. Now it's not like projecting like an arm,
Yeah.
If we were doing 3D Country Squire radio on the live feed, my arm would be coming out of the YouTube channel right now.
It'd be like putting out your pipe or something, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the smoke kind of flies out past the thing.
That'd be a cool idea.
It would be a cool idea, but it would be very gimmicky, which is what 3D is. I'm much more 4K. So
okay.
That's
where
fair.
I'm going. I learned something today. That's good.
Yeah. You learned that you chose wrong. That's good. All right. Well, hey, great quickfire questions. And hey, if you've got some quickfire questions, be sure to send those in. Again, that is show@countrysquireradio.com. Show@countrysquireradio.com. All right, man. Some great listener feedback in this week from Mike Sig on iTunes.
Yeah.
What did Mike have to say?
Mike says, refreshing and informative. Beau and JD present information and pipe culture in an entertaining and pleasantly civil manner. Wow. That's wonderful. It's civil.
We were very civil.
Add that to things that people have called us before. Civil.
Yeah, I like that.
While I often find podcasters too entertained by themselves,
we're that too.
This show approaches life with humility and respect, displaying values I appreciate in the pipe community. Thank you for your hard work, gentlemen. And that's from Mike Sig on iTunes. So, Mike, thanks so much, brother.
Mike, that's great, man. Thank you so much. Those are very kind words and
civil.
I like humble.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah, humility and respect. That's great. That's great. Ronnie and Miller. I'm so humble. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
It might be the Irish whiskey talking and the lack of breakfast and lunch.
Yes.
All right. So Ronnie Miller also writes, it says, I'm listening to a podcast you did back in January 16th. I think January 16th.
Yeah. Of this year.
Although it also could be January of 2016 because we've been doing it that long.
No, it might be. Yeah.
He said, mainly because it was about Navy tobacco and I'm Navy. And you're talking about one of my favorite characters, Sherlock Holmes. I'm also a beer guy. For a first taste of your podcast, it's a great one. Love it. And again, that is from Ronnie Miller. So
that's great.
Ronnie, thank you for that.
Yeah, Ronnie, man, it's so cool. He's into all these different things. He's into the Navy and Sherlock Holmes and beer, and he stumbles upon our podcast.
Dude, we got him covered.
That's good.
That's the thing. You think about all the various things that we talk about here, and it's a blast. We've been getting some great commentary coming in for this episode as well. Portland Paul saying Norse mythology is really also getting a bump because of Neil Gaiman's, since he wrote a book recently titled the same thing. I have not read that, but I will definitely
I haven't read it either.
Up.
Yeah, no, Neil Gaiman, great author. I've read some of his stuff, but yeah, I didn't know about that particular one. I'll have to check that out.
Also, Twitter @CDumo or CDumo says Piddleton's. Yeah, Chris. It says Piddleton's is truly Canadian. He says it's so freaking polite to the palate. It practically says please and thank you for drinking it. Only Canadian spirit I've tried that I actually care for. So that's pretty good.
That's good.
That's the thing. Like we're down here in the South, and we as Americans and as Southerners, we like to jab a little bit. I think on our northern.
We have
friends.
we have a chip on our shoulder, right?
Well, but should we? And that's really where it comes from. But like we like to jab a little bit at America's hat, right?
Yeah.
I mean that's fair.
America's hat.
We do that. But the reality is like when the rest of the country makes fun of Canada for being polite, in the South we should be like, hey, what's wrong with that?
I know, right?
Like that's our thing too.
That's the thing, yeah.
So we shouldn't we shouldn't give it Canada.
But behind their back, that's where we get our revenge.
That's where we do it.
Yeah, that's where we do it.
We talk about you in the prayer requests. That's where it is.
No, that's right.
Yeah. That's how we do it down south. We talk about you in the prayer request.
Y'all pray for her. She's gotten so fat.
Oh, it's a Squire Select, baby. Man, great listener feedback.
No, it's awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome as always.
And we also really appreciate those of you who are tuning in live and able to tweet in. Of course, this week we had to push back a little bit, and it's interesting because we got some listener feedback as well from last episode with the new format and the fact that we're in the shop. Some folks were saying that a little bit too much background noise. Got some great feedback from some of you saying I don't really mind the background noise. I actually kind of like it. And so it's interesting because whenever change comes into the picture, we have to kind of find a way that
we're walking the line.
We're walking the line. and we also want to be cognizant too of the new listener who's coming in. So many of you came to the podcast because you were looking to understand pipes, pipe culture, pipe tobaccos. You were starting that journey and you were kind of looking for some ongoing guidance.
And again, that's what we are.
Absolutely.
That's our bread and butter.
Absolutely. And so, we want to be that industry news and kind of that community for the longtime pipe smoker, but we also want to be that first step for the new pipe smoker as well. And so from that standpoint, we will continue to tweak the show, tweak the technology. Who knows? Maybe even next week we'll be at the shop, but it might look a little bit different, and we might have a little bit of a different angle. So, all that to say, over the next couple of weeks, as we're kind of adjusting, 2018 has been the year of adjustment.
It has, man.
And I think it will continue to be until the end of the year.
Yeah.
But all that to say, we see all that feedback. We see the positive and the negative. We see, and when we realize by negative, I don't mean like, hating. I mean like you're giving constructive.
Yes, constructive, feedback from folks that are dear friends.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so we want to be cognizant of that. And I just want you to let you know that we do hear that. And we want to make sure that we're doing our best for you.
Yeah, we are.
Absolutely. Well, good deal. Well, hey, of course, Country Squire Radio, it can be found at countrysquireradio.com, where generally people can tune in live around midday, let's say, typically at noon. Next week at noon.
That's what we're going for.
That's what we're
really
for.
Striving for regularity right now.
It's my fault on this week.
No, it's just,
but it is.
It's an ongoing thing. But yeah, typically Mondays at noon Central.
And so you can tune in again at countrysquireradio.com. You can also follow us throughout the week. I'm at The Real Beau York.
I'm at John David Cole, or you can get us at the shop at _Country Squire.
And the show's handle is at Squire Radio as well, where folks have been tweeting in during the live show. And you too can join us again at the live show at countrysquireradio.com. All right, man. Day drinking. Squire Select.
Isn't that something?
I'm all about it.
I had a great time.
Next time, breakfast, maybe a little bit of lunch before, probably would have been a good idea.
Maybe we should do mimosas one week,
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know, mix it up. Maybe what's another Bloody Mary's, another good morning drink.
Champagne. We got the New Year's
chicken
episode.
And waffles or something. I don't know.
Oh, hey, no, that's
and our favorite breakfast tobacco. Think about it. This could be a lot of fun.
I'm all for it. I can't believe you're the one suggesting it.
Did I just entertain chicken and waffles?
That's what you said.
Not barbecue.
Look, let's do both. Why can't it be both?
I don't know, man.
I think it's good.
It's sloppy.
Well, hey, I should have mentioned this at the top of the show, so let me get this in here before we officially sign out. Next week, and we'll post this out on our social media, we're doing another Pipe Shop Fails. Definitely one of our most popular episodes or topics that we've covered in the past. But we want to hear from you. If you've got some pipe shop fails that have happened at your local pipe shop, or maybe another pipe shop, don't throw your local one under the bus, but maybe one you're visiting quotation marks, let us know. We'd love to share some of those on next week's episode. And again, we'll post that out on social media. But until then, man, this has been fun.
I had a great day. Man,
all right.
Let's no, this is your deal.
Yeah, you're going to say my line.
I know, right? You do it.
What are you even doing? Drinking? Let's go have a day.
See you, brother.
All right, guys. Thank y'all so much.
We had fun, y'all. It's always good to see you. We're glad you got to tune in. The several of you that did today here at a little after lunch.
Absolutely.
So, yep.
Y'all are awesome.
Yep.
Drinking at noon. Wait, no. Yes. Bye.